Welcome back to another episode of WRAL Triangle and Two. I am Luis Fernandez. He is Mark Bergin. We are in the middle of February. We got 9 days left in February. Shout out to leap years. And we have plenty of basketball action to discuss. Plenty of basketball action to look forward to. Mark, I just want to get straight into it, talking the teams in AP order because we have a new number one in North Carolina for men's basketball in the AP. Duke has hopped over UNC in the top 25. Duke moving up to number 8 in the AP poll, UNC falling to number 10. So when you look at Duke's performance this week, Mark, what stands out to you? What are your main observations from the Blue Devils?
I'm going to pose a question for you, Luis.
Okay.
Given that it's a leap year as well. I like that reference. But my question is this. Is Duke now Jared McCain's team?
This is a conversation that I have heard been brought up a little bit over the course of the last couple of weeks. I think that Jared McCain is playing the best basketball on that team. I do not think that the performance that we saw, him tying a Duke freshman record with 35 points against Florida State, I do not think that was an anomaly by any means. You watch what he's been doing, and he is lights out from three. The word that John Shire uses a lot when discussing Jared McCain is gravity. The gravity that he brings to a team, the defensive focus that has to happen. It should make everyone's job easier. And you want to add on top of that, he has been rebounding a lot more.
Hang on. I want to hop in here, Luis.
No, go ahead, please. I would say yes, but I do not mean that as like a slight on Kyle Filipowski. Continue.
35 points ties Zion Williamson's freshman record. And think about all of the great players that have come through this program down through the years. And I don't want to leave out any in particular just because there have been so many greats. But he ties Zion's record, also surpasses J.J. Redick's three-point record.
Yeah.
As well, which I don't think we should look past there. So the outside shooting, and people are going to talk about the fingernails painted as well and Duke colors and all of that. But then the rebounding as well, Luis, for someone who stands at 6'3", when he goes to the NBA draft, we'll hear Jay Billis talk all about wingspan. I don't know what his wingspan will measure out to be, but that is a want to, Luis. That is a want to conscientiously rebound the basketball. Double-digit rebounding for a guy who stands at 6'3" in 5 games this season. So it's not just the shooting, the rebounding as well, Luis, is what sticks out to me. And I think about how he's playing relative to a lot of the Duke greats that have come through this program through the years. Playing his best basketball at the right time. We're in midway through February. We saw it. We're a broken record on the show. We saw what happened 2 years ago when a team gets hot with UNC. Duke right now up to number 8. We'll see. No, but Jared McCain's balling right now.
No, he is. Jared McCain is really, really good. Really, really good. And he's been that way for a while. It's just been, I think sometimes the focus has been too much on some of the other players. But Jared McCain has been phenomenal this season for the Blue Devils. One thing he mentioned, it was against Wake Forest when he had a double-double, was that there's really been an emphasis on giving him the green light to crash the boards and chase after some of those some of those rebounds in general. And it's what happens when he gets defensive rebounds and then pushes the pace, right? Jared McCain is incredibly deadly in transition, especially those pull-up threes in transition. So whenever he can push the pace, get the ball up, get set, maybe get lost in that defensive transition there for teams, it's deadly for what Duke wants to do. Really my only thing with Duke, defense needs to continue to improve. If I pull up Duke, let me pull up some of Duke's stats here.
While you do that too with McCain, Luis,
yeah.
I think he's playing himself into the first round of the draft right now. And I still think you run through Filipowski, just given the size disadvantage, the inside-outside, the game that he brings to the table. Roach is a veteran guard, played in a lot of big games. But when he's hot and he's playing right, I think McCain is Duke's best player. And I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I genuinely believe that, considering 8 of the last 9 games, double-digit scoring. So, again, it's the scoring, it's the rebounding for me. It's not just one component of the game where a casual fan's going to notice the outside shooting and the scoring, right? But the rebounding as a component of his game, too. There's a reason why he was a 5-star recruit coming into Duke. And right now, I do think that this is his team right now. I genuinely do believe that, Lewis. And I can't believe that I'm saying that, given it's no knock on Filipowski or Roach either, but I think he's playing at that high of a level right now.
I think I'm always like a little bit hesitant to like assign teams to people, right? I don't love that kind of dialogue, right? It's because it's a group effort, it's a team for a reason. But I think that Jared McCain has the ability to impact the team incredibly so because of his gravity. I think that Kyle Filipowski has leaned into a little more playmaking from the post. I think that's been good. You see Mark Mitchell starting to heat up a little bit as well. I still think that Duke is at its best when you have Mark Mitchell and Kyle Filipowski playing well in tandem. I'd say the way I would phrase it is I feel like Jared McCain is a player who does not need the rest of that team to be hot to get hot. He's a guy who's going to be able to keep Duke in games when other people struggle. But no, I mean, he's been playing phenomenal. He's been playing phenomenal basketball. And I'm really excited to see where he continues to go. I don't know enough about the draft, to be honest, to say where he's going to go or what that situation is going to be like. But he has really been playing at a very high level, especially in the year 2024 in the past, month and a half, 2 months.
One other thing I want to share about Duke from what I've noticed, Lewis. I want to see the backup big. So Filipowski and Mitchell get most of the run, right? I want to see Sean Stewart emerge into that role. As a freshman coming into the year, there was a lot of hype where he broke Zion Williamson's vertical leap record. I am not saying he's Zion Williamson, but late in the season, when guard play becomes more important, you get into tournament play. And you get caught in screen and rolls, and your big's going to be matched up on a guard. I know he can slide his feet and move with guards defensively versus look, it's no knock on Ryan Young, senior veteran player, but I want to see Stewart get those minutes off the bench of when Filipowski checks out of the game and Mitchell aren't in the game. He's coming off the bench. I want to see Stewart fulfill that role. And maybe I'm just mesmerized by
I think you're hitting on Ryan Young. I really do. I think he provides some facilitation. The thing you have to remember about this Duke team in general, right, is that they are essentially playing with 4 guards, maybe even 5 guards at times. They just do not have a lot of size depth, and that's part of the reason why it impacts their defense, why their defense has played the way it has at times in this one. So I think Duke is very much who they are as a team. It's just going to be about improving the little parts of who they are at this point. So continuing to grow a little bit of depth, sure, but I think it's more about just getting everyone on the same page at the same time. What I am, like all the parts of that team clicking all at the same time. What I'm looking at with Duke now, this week is going to be really interesting to me because, obviously they're, number 8 in the AP poll right now. Sure. They are 17 in the net. Ken Palm has them 11. They have at Miami and at Wake Forest. Duke has played a lot of home games so far this season. And so I want to see them get tested a little bit on the road against some of these teams that are going to be very desperate for wins. We saw them get a home win against Wake Forest last week. Wake Forest is, I think Lenardi has them as, last team out type thing right now. So they are going to be desperate for wins, especially after, and it was kind of the way they have a lot of opportunities, but I want to see how Duke performs on the road. Good win against Florida State. Keep that going in these next 2 wins or next 2 games, all 3 on the road. That's going to be really interesting for me.
All right. Duke. Let me keep stirring the pot, Lewis. Are you concerned moving to UNC now that Duke is now ranked higher than your beloved Tar Heels? If the question is ever, are you concerned about a ranking? The answer is no. The rankings don't matter. They're dumb and stupid. That's just straightforward. Tell us how you really feel.
I don't think it doesn't matter. It matters about how you're playing, right? Yeah. UNC has not been playing well. They have not played consistent for a long time now, really. You look at it, right? You go back to the Georgia Tech loss before Duke. They beat Duke, sure. Lose to Clemson, beat Miami, lose to Syracuse, beat Virginia Tech. They have not won 2 games in a row now since January 22nd to January 27th. The main thing with UNC's kind of stretch here has been their defense. We've seen their defense struggle at times. I mean, the loss at Syracuse, some of that was just pure shot making. Like, you got to give the Orange credit, but their defensive numbers have not been good. Like, their points per 100 possession, right? During that huge win streak that they had, they were during that huge streak. If you go back to Oklahoma and then you go all the way to Florida State when they won 10 games in a row, right? They allowed one team to score more than 100 points per 100 possessions, right? In this stretch since then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everyone has been scoring on them defensively. Their effective field goal percentage that they're giving up is way up. Teams are shooting threes pretty well against them. So really the thing for me more is just the defense that UNC is doing. They seem off. They're struggling, but you did see them kind of turn things around a little bit against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is not going to make the NCAA tournament, but that is still a feisty team. So you get that win at home. That's good. They also have not played a lot of home games just in general. I think they have, I want to say 3 of their last 4 games this season are going to be at home. They play at Virginia coming up later this week, their only game this week, much needed rest. And then they play 3 home games before finishing up with Duke. So it's going to be big for them. They just kind of have to continue to get right. You don't want to be a team that peaks in January and is not in a good position come March. But RJ Davis is still playing well, even though not as efficiently. You're seeing like Armando Bacot has his second half against Virginia Tech was massive. So just like with Duke, I think that UNC is who they are at this point. You just need to see everyone kind of come together on that same page. Cormac Ryan also played well on Saturday, which is much needed. Need him to continue to play well for the Tar Heels.
You're stealing all my thunder from my notes, Lewis. This break is going to come at a nice time for UNC, a 6-day break. And the Tar Heels played 9 players against Virginia Tech. Now, you mentioned Bacot. 5 straight double-doubles. He's rounding into form to what we know him as a double-double machine. And then you mentioned Cormac Ryan as well. The 3-point shot is starting to fall, and they're really going to need that to stretch defenses as well. So I think I hit on each of those things. A lot to unpack with what you just said right there, Lewis. But it's like, oh, you're seeing we have great minds think alike or something like that.
We're on the same wavelength. No, but I think, Cormac Ryan is shooting 30% from 3. And so, which is not what you would expect from Cormac Ryan. So him continuing to improve, I think there is big. Elliot Cadeau is, still has his ups and downs, but when he's hot, he looks good.
When he's open, he's got to shoot him though, too. And I'm talking about Cormac Ryan here, 4-7 against Virginia Tech, 4 of 9 against Syracuse, and then 2 of 5 against Miami. When he's open, shoot it. And look, 40% or better, you'll take that every single time. So to keep defenses honest, to stretch the defense, it's going to be an important component of this Tar Heels offense to where if it's open, go for it, let it fly. Because the last 3 games, it's been better coming off an 0-6 performance against Clemson, which was a loss back on February the 6th.
This is kind of minute, I think, but the the passing into the post for UNC, the passing to Armando Bacot was phenomenal against Virginia Tech. It looked really good. They were kind of pinpointing, and it was allowing those easy buckets, I think, helped Armando Bacot. They just kind of looked more together as a team, but it's still the defense has to improve. It has to get closer to what it was in January for UNC to get to that point where you're thinking, hey, this is a team that could make a Final Four run. But I'm not saying anything that I don't think anyone has said before. But we'll see. They play at Virginia, which is notoriously a very difficult place for most teams, especially UNC, to play. Their only game this week, but that is going to be big for them, for the ACC, because it is no longer a guarantee that UNC wins the ACC outright in the regular season.
Let's have a smooth entry into our last topic, and that's NC State coming off the heroics. DJ Horne, dueling DJs, DJ Horne, DJ Burns. But really from here on out, like for NC State to make the tournament, they're pretty much going to have to win out or win the conference championship. But like Lewis, to me, this is just an uphill battle. I'm just going to be blunt here in terms of what it would take for the Wolfpack to go dancing in March.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if this was, I think, more of an up year. And I say that in quotes because you know how I feel about the way people view the ACC. But, they're 8-6 in conference. But I mean, they just have kind of dug themselves holes. You go throughout the ACC, the loss against Virginia Tech at home, losing in overtime at Virginia, losing, at Syracuse. Like some of these games are, they're beating some teams in here, but they're also just not consistent. They're up and down. The Clemson win was massive for them. DJ Horne, I really think you cannot emphasize enough just how well he's been playing. Like if I go back to the last 5 games for DJ Horne, right? Going all the way back to Miami, 24 points, 26 points, 25 points, 31 points, 27 points. He is shooting really well from 3. His usage is very high right now. He is kind of he's doing everything that you need from him. It's just going to be about continued growth from NC State. And I know so much of when we talked about the Wolfpack earlier in the season, right? You looked at their offense as, man, their offense has to be better. Their offense has to be better. Their offensive efficiency has increased a lot over the past few games or so, right? Their adjusted offensive efficiency you're looking at like 100s essentially for them, going all the way back to that Miami game that I mentioned. It's just their defense has fallen off a little bit. So, you just need State you have to win games at this point. That's all you can do if you're the Wolfpack. This week, you've got home against Syracuse and home against Boston College. Those are 2 games that if you were NC State, you have to win. You need to win those 2 games. And then you have 4 games, 3 on the road, 1 at home, at Florida State, at UNC, home against Duke, at Pittsburgh. Like those are significantly tougher. So it's one of those things where NC State has kind of dug themselves a hole, and all you can do is just win and hope that things kind of fall where they will. But
can I share a meatball take with you, Lewis, with NC State? Can I share a meatball take with you? There's a correlation between like the team's success and then the ticket prices to these games. Because I'm looking at this right now. We can go to the game tomorrow night for like less than $20 to go see NC State and Syracuse, right? And so it's just like, oh man, like you said, I think they just dug themselves too deep a hole early on in the year. It would take a lot to claw back in by March.
So. Yeah, there's talent on this team.
Yeah,
so, but I mean I don't really think there's much more to say about NC State, but they have an uphill battle. That's where things are right now for the Wolfpack.
I'm with you. Is there anything that you need to tease with WRAL sports fan coverage for this week, Lewis? Because for Battle of the Blues later in March, we have a lot of long form content coming your way on WRALsportsfan.com, but that will be in the coming weeks. But this upcoming week, Lewis, what do we got?
I mean, you've mentioned it, plenty of good stuff. Kind of turning to the women's game a little bit. I'm going to be at Duke versus Notre Dame coming up later tonight. We're recording this on a Monday. That's big for the Blue Devils, trying to bounce back after losing to Virginia Tech, on the road. NC State, the NC State women's, right, who just went to overtime against Georgia Tech. They have at UNC and at Duke this week. So big games for NC State women's basketball. And then UNC, who's coming off back-to-back wins after losing in overtime to Duke, has at home against NC State and at Virginia Tech. So we're really getting into that crunch time for both men's and the women's teams in ACC play. So we'll do our best to keep you covered on both ends there. Just a lot of really good basketball. We're not even into March.
Yeah, NC State women, winners of 3 straight at number 6 in the AP poll that got released earlier today, Lewis. So at least have a winning team on the women's side. But this has been another edition of WRAL Triangle and Two. Lewis, I'll let you wrap it up for the both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all so much for tuning in, listening wherever you listen on any of the podcast platforms, watching on 99 The Fan or on WRLSportsFan.com. I'm Luis Fernandez. He is Mark Bergin. We will see you next week. Thank you all so much for watching.